I love that question because sometimes you can spend so much time on networking, having these conversations, coffee chats, going to chamber, whatever it is, and really start to feel like this is a colossal waste of time. This is not moving our business forward. They had no idea who I was. They had no idea what I actually did. They didn't have any idea where I was from. And they really had no idea why we were meeting when they were the ones that scheduled the call. The alternative is taking about 10 minutes and doing just a little bit of homework on who they are and what their business is. So you can ask intelligent questions about it instead of just starting off with this white empty page of tell me all about it. Because the reality is, if you say tell me about your business, they automatically know you have no idea.
Welcome to another episode of Sip and Matcha and helping you make more sales. We're excited to dive into another anonymous sales question today with resident matcha drinker and sales trainer, Brooke Greening. You can share your question at buildingmomentum.info/matcha and we may feature it on a future episode. Let's bring Brooke in. She's been traveling near and far. She's back.
I am. I've got my matcha.
It's your Be the Guide mug.
I know. I was just in Nashville and I got this mug a couple of years ago because they always give you really sweet gifts when you re-enlist is probably not the best word, but I don't know what word I'm looking for. But when I decide to be a guide for another year. And so this is an Ember mug. So it's fancy because, yes, it looks great. It's got Be the Guide for Story Brand and how I am a guide. Have been for the last 5 years. But the Ember mug actually helps keep things warm. So it's connected to your phone. And so you have the appropriate temperature for your matcha drinking pleasure.
Fancy smancy.
Yes.
Well, let's bring today's question up, and so it's a question you've been hearing a few times in the last week or so, and that is something to this effect: why is my networking not working? Or I thought networking was supposed to do something. Doesn't seem to be.
I love that question because sometimes you can spend so much time on networking, having these conversations, coffee chats, going to chamber, whatever it is, and really start to feel like this is a colossal waste of time. This is not moving our business forward. And I do believe that that can happen. But as business owners, as you continue to drive your business forward, especially if you're needing to have sales conversations in order to do that, networking is really important. And so, but I'm reminded of a story that happened to me a little bit ago. So it wasn't just like last week, because anytime I share stories, people start to think, was I in that one? This was a while back ago. But I was going to meet with someone. They had set up a call with me. It was like a coffee chat. They wanted to talk to me. But when we got on the call, it was clear they had no idea who I was. They had no idea what I actually did. They didn't have any idea where I was from. And they really had no idea why we were meeting when they were the one that scheduled the call. And then they said, oh, okay, yeah, you're here so I can talk to you about my group. And I was like, nope, that's not why we had agreed to meet. And they just said, no, that's what we're going to do. And then they pitched at me for like 20 minutes. And I know we've all had that experience where we want to try to network or then we want to try to move it into a conversation. And we feel like it's this bait and switch where we think we're supposed to be talking about one thing, but then it just turns out that they just want to sell us something. So then we don't want to be a part of that. And then also we're afraid that that's all what networking is. And so we don't really want to do that. So then we kind of swing to the other side and say, no, I don't want to. Or people swing to the opposite side and say, no, networking is really important. I'm going to try to do 30 networking conversations or events or whatever in the next 30 to 60 days, but they're not able to be intentional with it. And so they're not able to get the gains that they're looking for. So that's what we're talking about today. Networking is not the necessary evil. But one, we don't want it to be a bait and switch. And two, you do need to be intentional in regards to how that comes together.
Yeah, I think everybody is so worried about being that guy or that girl. And we've all been there at the networking event. And it's, hey, buddy, have I got a deal for you? And nobody wants to
get a card.
That's right. Nobody wants to be that person. No. But then the tendency among a lot of people is, like you were saying, to either not do it at all or to just say, well, like I'm so committed to not doing that just like being in people's presence will help my business. And I guess like by osmosis or something, people are supposed to know, oh, this is what you do and that type of thing. So help us kind of thread this needle and shoot down the middle here between the two extremes of cheesy networking person and wallflower or I'm too nice.
Oh, wow. These
to
are
even...
great. These are great descriptions. We don't necessarily think you guys are any of those. But so the first thing is when we're talking about networking, you want to make sure that you're actually in the right room. That makes a big difference. And so you're going to ask yourself two questions. You're going to ask yourself, one, is my ideal client in this room? Meaning, do they want what I have to offer and can they afford it? That's how we start to figure out they're an ideal client. So that needs to happen. They either need to be in the room or you need to ask yourself, are there people in this room that are directly connected to my ideal client? Not, hey, maybe someday they'll think about it, but truly directly connected where your services would make sense to be able to partner together. One or both of those need to be in the room. Otherwise, you're in the wrong spot. And your networking is not going to go well no matter what you try because we're not even in the right room. We're not talking to the right people. So you need to be intentional in regards to the groups that you're working with, who you're talking with. You need to make sure one or both of those questions are answered in a yes.
Yeah, and I think I can think of times when I've gone to events and I'm like, I don't think these are really my people in terms of business connections. They like have a good lunch or a good coffee and meet some nice people, but I know this probably isn't a fit for me for a place to keep investing in. Mm-hmm. All right.
And I just want to share, it's not bad to do that necessarily. There are just people in this world that we really like and we'd love to get to know them, but that's not how we want to be in regards to being intentional in our networking. If those are the only people we're talking to, that's why it's not working because they're not our ideal client and they're not really connected to our ideal client.
Yeah, and it doesn't like some of these events, like chamber events or different things, like it doesn't have to be everybody in the room is one of those two people. There just needs to be at least a couple that you can connect with and do that.
Yes, but if you do find a group that everybody in the room is there, dig deep.
Keep going.
Invest. Go there.
Yeah, good. All right, so we're making sure we're in the right room, so that helps us make sure we're investing time in the right place. So maybe if networking isn't working, you need to think about, maybe I need to find a different room. What else do we need to think about? Then
you want to be intentional in what your sales conversations and those coffee chats are going to look like. So the first piece is I go into the room and then we start seeing, okay, who would be a good person to have a one-on-one with? Then when we have those one-on-ones, we want to be intentional. And one of the best ways to do that is don't start with tell me about your business because then they feel like they have the floor to be able to pitch at you for the next 10 to 15 minutes. And that's not what you're actually wanting to figure out when you're having these conversations. You do want to know about their business, but you also want to know what is it that they're either getting stuck in, there's a dilemma, if they're feeling frustrated in something. That's what we're trying to understand to see if it could be a good fit for us to be able to partner with them or help them directly.
All right. So typically in networking, the people say you want to give more than you get, do all these things. You want to be interested in the other person. So I thought like asking about somebody's business was a good idea. Like why talk a little bit more about that. What's an alternative?
The alternative is taking about 10 minutes and doing just a little bit of homework on who they are and what their business is. So you can ask intelligent questions about it instead of just starting off with this white empty page of tell me all about it. Because the reality is if you say tell me about your business, they automatically know you have no idea. You're not actually as invested in them as you want to be and as they're thinking you are. So that question actually puts up a red flag of they don't know who I am. They didn't take any time to figure out who I was. That's why you don't necessarily want to start with that question. What you can do is look where they're posting on LinkedIn, or they've got other social platforms, or their website, or they've got blog articles, videos, whatever it is. And this is especially true for those in the service-based industry. Look and have intelligent questions about that. If they had a blog article, ask a question about the blog article. If they did a video on something, watch the video and have a question about that. That starts to show I am very interested in your business, and being able to open up a conversation instead of just where someone's just going to start talking to you about their business for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah, and just to circle back and to remind people, your suggestion was maybe you've made a connection at some type of networking event. That's probably not the place to have a 20 to 45 minute two-way conversation. So you've made it, hey, this seems like a good person. There seems like some possibilities. This is that first like one-on-one, either you're going out to coffee, or you're doing a virtual coffee online, or you're like really getting to know each other, like in a more significant way. All right, so be in the right room. Number 2 was be intentional. What else do you got for us?
Then the last piece is there are times when, and people come to me all the time and they say, it was a really good conversation, but I wasn't sure how to like transition to asking them about if they wanted to work with me or they wanted to have another conversation. It just kind of feels weird. And so I just want to encourage you, if you feel like towards the end of the conversation, this really could be a good fit, that's where you're going to be intentional and share with them briefly, like 1 or 2 minutes in regards to what you do and how you think that could be a good fit, and ask them, does that sound like something you would like to uncover further? And would you be open to having another conversation about that? So it's clear in regards to what that next conversation would be. So many times in these networking calls and these coffee chats, it's not clear. It was a great conversation, but nobody has any idea what's going to happen next. And even if they schedule a call the next time, everybody's still a little either on edge or nervous, and they're not entirely sure what they're going to even be talking about then. And so you're telling them, hey, it sounds like this could be a good fit, either in regards to us being able to partner together in regards to referring others, or it sounds like some of the things you were talking about, I might be able to help with. Would you be interested in having another conversation where we could go into that further? So then they are very clear, and then they can say yes or no, and then nobody's wondering what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and I think that's so important because like good people are concerned about being self-serving and networking, and so they avoid it. But if you've really gotten to know somebody a little bit and you really have something that could either help them or be a resource for them to be a hero for people in their network, like by letting them know what you do, you're actually helping them either directly or indirectly. And so you don't have to feel bad about that, and you don't have to be like feeling guilty. Oh, I said that this was just going to be a coffee chat or
right.
Like you're providing a resource.
You are, and you are giving them the space to be able to say no. Where it gets manipulative and salesy and all of the words we don't like is if it's like this bait and switch where we say, hey, I'd really love to know more about your business and see how we might be able to work together. Then you don't actually ask them about their business. You're just pitching at them the whole entire time. That is a bait and switch. It is not a bait and switch. If you've had a conversation, it's a dialogue going back and forth, and you say, it sounds like there are some things that you were bringing up that I might be able to help with. Is it okay if I share that with you for just a minute, and then we can see if it makes sense to have another call in the future? That's all you're doing. You are not, this is not a full-blown sales conversation. This is not you getting out your pitch deck. Like, none of that is happening. It's just actually realizing, oh, wow, you know what? You were just saying that your team is really struggling in this area. This is something I actually help with. Would you be interested in having a little bit of a further conversation later this week? That's it.
Right. And I know in this podcast, we tend to focus on the sales side of things and those types of conversations. And this is like how to have networking conversations in sales. But a really helpful tool for people to do, and you mentioned you were at StoryBrand last week, and that is to have a one-liner. And the marketing side of our business that you help people with is something where you could help develop one of those tools. So like in 2 sentences, you can give an understandable like synopsis of your business that people can latch onto, that has a defined problem and a solution and all of those things.
Yes, 100%. We call that the one-liner. There's another word like sound bites, but it's literally in 1 or 2 sentences, you're able to share the problem that you solve, the resolution, and the result of it quickly so that they can start to see, oh, okay, that makes sense, or no, that doesn't make sense. And so that is important. So when someone asks you what you do, it is not meant to be like this 10-minute explanation. You give a little bit, and then if they ask more, then we can share more. And again, it's more of a dialogue, not us just pitching at them.
Great. Well, I think everybody's going to be super equipped here to rock out at their next networking event. If you found yourself thinking, I think maybe I need to talk to Brooke more about that, or that one-liner thing sounds intriguing, she'd be happy to connect with you. You can find us at buildingmomentum.info. And that, any last parting shots or encouragements for the networkers out there?
I just want to encourage you. It doesn't have to feel self-promoting when you're doing networking. If you honestly do your homework, even before you go into the room, thinking about who are those people that might be there and doing that little bit of homework that we talked about, that makes a huge difference because that's not normally how people are approaching networking. Normally it's like, here's my card, this is what I do. And instead, it's already being invested in them and what's important to them. And when you are able to share with someone and they believe you that you are invested in them and their success, that's when you can have real conversations. If they don't believe that, all of it is just going to be surface. And then it just is like bouncing from one person to the other. It does not have to be that way. Any room you walk into, you can be prepared, have it really, you feel good about it, they feel good about it. And then it will also, if they decide they do want to talk to you, it will also dramatically decrease that whole sales cycle just in general, because you've already started building that trust and truly knowing what it is that they're needing and how you can be able to help. It works really well, but not just handing out cards and spouting off what you do.
Yeah, great. Well, I think everybody's set to go, and we'll say goodbye and see you next time. We always appreciate it if you found this valuable, to like, to review, to leave a comment, to do all of those things on the podcasting platform of choice. Apple Podcasts or Spotify or on YouTube. You can connect with us there too and see our bright, shining faces. So we hope you have a great day.
Bye.